It's me, G. Indira, taking privilege to debate on the topic India growth is increasing a gap between the rich and poor. And I am going for the statement. Today, we all know from the few years onwards, we are going to listen that India is a developing nation. India is a developing nation. At that time, we can think India is a developing nation. At the same time, there is a lot of gap between poor and rich. The people who are rich, they are going to be rich and rich. But the people who are poor are not gaining their needs, not gaining their objectives, not gaining how to change their lives into a great manner. For that example, I have taken that for politics. At the state of politics, for example, we can take the people who is taking participation in the politics. If a poor person who is from a background of a very low category, he has an opinion to stand before the nation for the welfare of the nation, for the welfare of the people. But at that time, there is no situation that comes who support the people. There are no people who are supporting them. For a rich person, if you want to be a great politician, there may be so much people who will support you. And the people who are poor are not getting initiatives from the people also. The people who are getting their needs effectively, that means a rich person can give 100 rupees at least for a person to get their vote. But a poor person just give their opinions. But at this time, the people who are, the common people will not initiate to develop the poor people and his opinions. They just go with the money.
Good morning to one and all. It's me Divya of Team Bhagat Singh. I'm here before you to say a topic on India growth rate is not increasing, basing on bridge is not increasing between rich and poor. In my point of view, I think I take an example of an education system, today's education system. For example, there is a poor boy who came from village, and one student very rich but not talented. This boy who is very poor, he is much talented and got a good job in a nice company. So I think in this way, rich and poor bridge is not increasing.
Then I will give an example. I would like to tell that the people who are working, the people who are taking their engineering or BTech, they all are going to work in the companies in a very big MNCs. Not in India, in the abroad, the people who are coming from India and working are about 33%. We can't think that the education is also making that much of role. If India is that much of developing country, we can make any companies which can be built in our country and which can make the racial discrimination as same between poor and rich. But then the people at this situation also we can also say that the people who are rich can go to the abroad, but the people who are poor cannot reach their expenses on that.
In my point of view, the poor who is very talented in his knowledge and gaining a lot of concepts, he can attain a job in MNCs, like you said. Means if his knowledge is a lot of, he can join in the companies. Means he can study in the same school where the rich people are studying. Like in the some of schools like Cambridge universities and Oxford, like that. If he had a great knowledge, he can study with the same people. There is no difference between the rich and poor. So if the poor people gain a lot of interest in his knowledge, they can attain the same they can work with the rich people equally, and the bridge between them will be reduced.
If they are given the chance to grow, they can. But the poor people cannot go to the Cambridge universities, and the people who are poor cannot study in the Cambridge University. But the people who are studying in a government schools can also get the jobs. I am telling this situation at the time the people who is having more knowledge, but he has no person supporting him to go for the abroad and to be studying abroad. But if we can think that in our India also we can work in other companies, but here the companies are not at all present.
No, not like that. Means the many of the voluntary organizations and companies are initiating to sponsor the money to the poor people who are interested to study. Means they are sponsoring the money for them to study in abroad, like some such famous institutions and universities such as Oxford and Cambridge. Means by the scholarships they can attain the jobs and they can study their higher studies over there. So they can reduce the barrier between the rich and poor by studying with the rich people over there.
I strongly oppose because what about the poor people? They can study in foreign or distinctions levels. So I think your statement is wrong because only the poor people cannot study in such universities because it is rich. For example, take our talent is proving. For example, I can come to know that in Microsoft, 33% of our Indians. But what about rest? We can also attain more and more. But what about the poor? The poor is always been poor and rich has always been rich.
Actually, it's based upon the interest of the poor people. If they are interested to study over abroad, they can really study because many of the organizations are sponsoring them for scholarships to study over abroad. So they can easily get jobs over there.
Not many. It's only so much or 2% or 3% are going. What about the remaining poor people?
It's not only in this concept. We can also see the remaining systems such as take hospitals. In hospitals, means for rich and poor, there is no difference at all. Means the doctor is there to make a life and give a life for the people. There is no difference between the rich and poor, right?
I can give you an example. For example, we are now in missionary age, means missionary revolution. In those days, somewhat of articles or somewhat of handicraft machines are there. But today, our technology is improving, but the poor are getting very poor and the rich are always being rich. Why? Because we are making them poor. Because we can't do anything. Why can't we? Because we have to change our mindset and our attitude so that we can help others to be enough to be poor.
In my point of view, so many people are danger in some any habit. Their student treatment, they have to give some money, and so it is very danger in position. So I think it reflects some good people have come for the hospitals and raise some money they didn't have. So I think it is in the Aadhaar card like something that will happen and.
You know that Aadhaar cards are issued by the government, but no one is using the poor people. Many of the rich people are doing, they are saying that we are unemployed, and even though in unemployed, many of the people have the rich people, they are using the Aadhaar cards and they are only taking the opportunities of the poor people.
Okay, but in so many villages, I think government has been given some poor people as money, and rich people also given. But in some important VIP persons has been given Aadhaar, but village people is a very used to have the government, and I think so many facilities are there has been like so many some facilities were given.
Many facilities are given by the government, but they are not using by poor people. Only they are using by rich people. They are very less percentage used by poor people. I want to say that many is going on by making only rich people.
At this situation, I would like to convey that for this example, we can take a great situation. At this missionaries, at this technology development stage, the online shoppings are being increased and increased. The people who are studying in first standard and second standard are also going to shopping in the online. At that time, the poor people who are doing their handicrafts, they are not getting their needs. They are the only life. They are making their life to be achieved, but they are not getting those much of expenses. So at that time, the poor people are facing a lot of situations.
Okay, exactly.
But I think not all basing on online, nothing happens to poor people. They can also by going out to small shops also. So in everything, poor is also equal to rich, in my point of view.
Yeah, poor is at that time the poor are not going to be rich now. The poor people who cannot have his food on that day will go to another small city and would like to sell his prices.
But equally, if rich people, poor people get jobs in high companies, then they reach rich people.
So I would strongly oppose your decision. Whatever may be the situation, the poor and the gap between the poor and rich are going on, based on the human values. By supporting those human values and the development of the nation can take place, and at the same time we can, if those human values are that much cared, at that time we can see the poor and the rich will be equal.
But in my point of view, it is not increasing gap between rich and poor. Thank you.
Thank you.